Pope appealing for peace, or was he praying for peace?
And the same applies to the carry-on drag.
Yeah, that's a good question. So what do you have to say about that, guys? Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to the latest edition of Views on the News. Now, as you know, this is a panel show where I have a panel of wise and witty people to give their opinions on the news that I broadcast, or live streamed, no, just streamed, podcast yesterday. And normally we have people from all over the world, but we never know. We never know who's going to turn up. And today, the cream has floated to the top. We have Diogo Duarte from Portugal. Welcome, Diogo.
Hi there. It seems like today I'm alone in the solving world politics or something.
Yeah. We'll put the world to rights together. Yes. Well, we might be joined because you never know. Because sometimes people do come in
just late.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so welcome. Anyway, here we go. The first item I want you to react to is a video that I've got about a Muslim preacher in Bradford, which is it's a northern town near Manchester, and it's become known as Bradfordistan, because it's got such a large Muslim community, many of them from Afghanistan, and so there's quite a lot of mosques and Islam preaching going on in that city. So this particular preacher conducted a sermon last week. His name's Wazim Khan, and he told his congregation, that would be men, of course, because they don't let the women into the mosque, that Allah supports Hamas. I'm going to show you a video. Tell me what you think of this.
Hamas and all these signs are there. And they haven't done anything wrong. Their land has been usurped for 75 years and they are showing resistance. And what kind of resistance is this? Subhanallah. We had the 1967 Six-Day War, when 6 Arab armies with their tanks and gunships and warships, they went together, Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt, Syria, Iraq, and they attacked Israel from all corners. They were finished in 6 days. Armies were finished in 6 days. And yet you see, subhanallah, the nusra from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Israel is thinking, what have we got ourselves stuck into? They have no weapons, they have no supplies, they have no army, they have no naval or air force, but we are still stuck. This is because this is the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you fight for nationalism, you are finished in 6 days. When you fight for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your rights, then you see what you're seeing right now. You're seeing what you're seeing right now.
So what he seems to be saying is that the different style of what you might call warfare is evidence that this particular new style is supported by Allah. Because what happened back in the Six-Day War was it was more conventional warfare with armies and air forces. And in that case, Israel won against multiple Muslim countries in 6 days. But now Israel is not able to wipe out the opposition because it's more of a terrorist attempt to win, where it's not clear. We don't have obvious armies and air forces. What we have is people hiding in amongst the civilians, sending off the occasional rocket. And so it's much more difficult to root out. So what do you think?
All right. So just a question to begin with. Is it normal for them to take pictures, to record these mosque sessions?
Quite a lot of them do that, yes. And we have access to them. on their websites.
I thought it would be quite dangerous to record yourself saying these kind of things.
Well, you could make a case for saying that it should be dangerous because they're inciting hatred, if not, actual armed attempts to harm people. And you could argue, and some of our more right-wing people do, that the police should be set upon these preachers. And in fact, in the past, we have imprisoned a few preachers who have uttered utterly repulsive speeches like that.
This is
But
a little bit. This is kind of like a situation of normalizing massacres, like the last time I went live.
Yes.
Well, we all know what the man is saying is silly because why would Allah, like, Allah wants to defeat a certain people? Why would Allah use a group which isn't well organized, right? The group without the proper military. It doesn't really make sense.
No.
It's just only war for you is always like this. There is nothing particularly special about this conflict relative to other asymmetrical warfare situations, I don't think.
No.
And probably the Palestinians will be defeated. I don't see them winning.
No.
You could say that maybe Hamas will survive somehow as in disguise or something, right? Like all the other Taliban forces in the Middle East. But that's not really that's not a good thing for the Palestinian people.
No. Well, you can't extinguish an idea, can you?
Yeah.
So if subsequent generations want to join an organization like Hamas, they will. You can't rub them out forever.
Yeah.
But the point is that we're allowing that sort of, it's unsubstantiated claims. He is saying that the reason that Hamas is making such a progress in his mind compared to previously is due to a god for which he has no evidence, but he's got an audience who will believe him. What do you think of that?
I haven't heard about Hamas doing any progress, and I hope they don't actually.
Well,
personally.
Yes, indeed, me neither. But he's claiming that they haven't been rubbed out in 6 days, and in his mind, that's progress,
Well, they haven't been completely wiped out this early because international pressure to keep it minimally ethical. But it's complicated, actually. There's a lot on this conflict. I'm not sure what's going on.
It's very complicated, yes. The final comment I want to make about this particular item is that the Islam Bradford Center, where he was seen doing that preaching, is a registered charity.
Yeah, like all churches.
Should we be permitting these incendiary speeches to happen in a charitable organization?
Well, I'm not sure how it is in Britain, but usually a charity isn't supposed to make political statements, right?
No, indeed.
It should be illegal. So,
yeah.
I mean, they should be arrested or fined for that.
There you go. Yeah.
I've always, just a bit of an aside, I've always wondered, should churches, whether they are charitable organizations or not, should they pay taxes?
Yes.
From all kinds of words, ideas that come from churches, they should pay taxes, especially because how much money they make. But then, how do you distinguish a church from a non-profit organization under the law, right?
Well, they are very obviously businesses, aren't they?
if you can argue that, I guess so. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not a lawyer to aware of these details.
Maybe we should get another meeting with some of our lawyers who come on these
Oh
shows.
yeah, like Guy, right?
Yeah, discuss that with them. Yeah. So
Maybe
moving
next.
on, maybe, yeah, but he's busy being a candidate for an election at the moment, so
Or sure.
he might be out of it until the by-election's over, which is at the end of this month.
Oh, see. So
So
next news.
yes. So moving on to, you've probably heard about this horrible corrosive substance attack in North London in the middle of the week, when a man threw alkali at the face of a woman and two of her daughters. One was 3, and they are in hospital with suspected life-changing injuries from this corrosive substance. And the man has been identified. He is Abdul Shakur Ezidi, and he's been injured by, it looks like, by the corrosive substance too, according to the closed circuit TV images. And so the police are trying to capture him. The issue here is that he has been granted asylum. This is after 3 attempts to obtain asylum. Let me read you this bit here. Ezadi arrived in the UK by lorry in 2016, having traveled from Afghanistan. And he then committed a sexual offense and was sentenced, but not imprisoned. It was a sentence in the community, but he worked that off, and it was discharged after completing his sentence. But then, on his 3rd occasion, his application for permission to become an asylum refugee in this country was accepted on the basis that he claimed to have converted to Christianity. And he had some preachers claim that they had taught him to be Christian and were convinced that he had genuinely converted. And so the issue is, we have this criminal. He's been convicted of a sexual offense. He's now thrown corrosive chemicals in the face of a woman and her children. And should we have given him asylum? That's the issue that we're wondering about right now.
Well, John, you are giving me all the complicated news today. So, where should I start? I suppose his family, as well as himself, are the people coming as asylum seekers, right?
I don't know whether he has any family. He may be a loner.
Who were the people he attacked again?
Well, we don't know. All we know is the woman appeared to have known of him. Okay. She knows him some way, and so we're still finding out.
Okay, so it's a bit of an unknown.
What sort of previous they had together.
All right, I'm not sure if this is a case of no true Muslim or no true Christian at this point, but something in between.
Yes.
This is one of these kind of news that my folks would say the world is going crazy.
Yes. So
what can I say?
The follow-up is that there's a big discussion going on now in the Home Office about whether it's adequate to accept stories that may come from, priests and clergymen, that these people have successfully been converted. Should that be a criterion that's adequate for accepting an asylum application?
if you are in a secular government, in a secular state, you shouldn't agree with leaving people unpunished because they changed their identity. That's pretty. I think that's pretty clear cut. Because otherwise would be recognizing that certain religion is the true religion.
Yes. That's right. I'm fully with you.
Apart from that, I don't think we should deport this person, because when we deport them, we can't control what happens to them. This person should be punished under the current law.
Well, that was his reason for claiming to have converted to Christianity, because he thought that we would let him get through the asylum process, because as a Christian, being returned to Afghanistan was a risk. But I'm with you, and unfortunately, we're not a secular country.
There's state Protestantism, right?
Yes.
Forgot about that detail.
Stupidly, we have an established church, and yes, you're right. In this country, Christianity is considered by the authorities to be the true religion, and all the others are not. So, if you want to get
there's this what we call it, the limitation of statute. I think that's the legal term. I think, like, if he was a Muslim when he committed the crimes, he should be punished as such. Maybe that's a legal argument some defendant would make, some prosecutor could make.
Yes. Well, he was a Muslim when he did his sexual assault, but subsequently he claims to be a Christian and has done this corrosive.
Regardless, this is a person we can't trust, because apparently he's been repeating crimes.
Yes. I'd lock him up myself. Okay, now you may also have heard about the United Nations Work and Relief Agency, UNRWA, in Gaza, which has gone rogue. The United Nations is supposed to be neutral, as you know, but this particular agency, they've got the white pickup truck, all of the UN vehicles are painted white, and they've got a body in the back of the pickup that is obviously a victim of Hamas murder, and they're driving through the streets so that Palestinians can beat this body. So it must be a Jewish body. I mean, I don't know. I'm drawing conclusions probably without sufficient evidence, but take a look at this video and see what you think. So it's shocking that the UN should be doing that, and they've been defunded, heavily defunded by most nations.
Okay, so I think this is one of these situations that Israel will claim Hamas stole the vehicle, right?
Well, I think the UN have admitted that it's their staff, and they've sacked a lot of people.
They have their own agents in the vehicle then?
Yes, I think they've admitted that.
Pretty strange. So, well, I think they have some reason to be spiteful, because some shelling from Israel fell on UN medical people too, but we aren't. This is morally inconsistent, let's say.
Yeah. It's the UN not doing what we want it to do, isn't it?
Yeah. Pretty strange, really.
Yeah. So moving on to Canada, there has been abuse, particularly of boys, in a secretive Christian church. It happened way back in the 1980s, but one of the men who committed this abuse, Robert Corfield, is now speaking publicly about what happened. So let me tell you a bit more. The church has no official name, but it's often referred to as the Truth or the Way, and it's believed to have up to 100,000 members worldwide, with the majority in North America. And last year they set up a hotline, and because, well, they didn't set up the hotline, but two women set up the hotline because they were sexually abused by the church when they were children. And so people have been phoning in claiming that they were also abused. And one person, Michael Havett, who is now 54, told the BBC that he was abused by Robert Corfield in the 1980s from the age of 12. What's odd about this is Robert Corfield has confessed. So Mr. Havett says, people used to call me Bob's little companion. I just felt dirty, and I still do. And he says that Mr. Corfield would force him to kneel beside him and pray, and after he'd been abused. And he says that I had to work hard to get past that and get my prayer life back again. So Corfield has admitted that this abuse took place for about 6 years. He says, I have to acknowledge that's true. And he's written private letters to Mr. Havett asking for forgiveness, and said he was seeing a therapist. And so I don't know what's going on here, but we have got a confession, and it seems to be a shameless confession. And it's all historic, but only coming out now.
Well, it's an open secret by now that churches are infested with child molestation and such, right? Everybody jokes about that, but what can we really do about it? We shouldn't be. For some reason, there's an idea that church people are more respectable, and I don't know how we can keep that, pretending that's the case.
No, indeed. They very often they call themselves Father in an attempt to make them seem safe to be with. But the evidence is the opposite. And I hope that this helps to damage their credibility, because there's so much of it coming out now.
Yeah, I hope so. It has been a while since people started reporting churches in great numbers. Not sure how that has been impacting their flock, but it's like that song, how many roads must a man walk down until call it event. So how many people, how many confessions should a preacher do until the church closes down or something like that?
Yes,
I don't know.
Yes,
it's sad, really.
I believe I reported on exposures of this sort happening in Portugal not long ago.
Yeah, the GWs, the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yes.
They were the main culprits, especially because they weren't cooperating with the police and investigations. There was a little bit of problems with the Catholic Church too, but as far as I'm aware, it wasn't as bad as the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah, or as bad as the Roman Catholic churches in Ireland and America, where quite a lot of this has been coming to light. Yeah.
Um,
One thing that amazes me here is that this man, Mr. Havitt, who is now 54, but was abused from the age of 12 for 6 years, and then forced to pray after he'd been abused. One thing that annoys me is he says, I had to work hard to get past that and find my prayer life again. Well, why bother? Why does he want to get back to his prayer life? It's obviously failed him before.
well, they've compartmentalized in their mind the idea of the religion from the people who do the religion, right? So,
difficult for me to stomach.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
So here's another interesting little video, and I want you to listen to what's said, because this is about a so-called Muslim cultural enricher in Germany who blocked the motorway so that he could get on the ground and pray to Allah, facing the right direction with his knees and his head touching the ground. You know, take a look.
Deutschland, kurwa. Benzin to jest, kurwa, droga benzina.
So, did he give some motivation, or is like a prayer hour and he was late?
I don't know. All I know is what was in that video, which showed he put his emergency flashes on so that he could get out of his car and go and pray, and he didn't care about the fact that he was blocking a lane. But what I wonder whether I heard in the accompanying audio is British. Did you hear British there? I'm wondering, was the number plate British? Is this some Briton, you know, obviously ethnically not English, but some Briton who's driving in Germany? Was the number plate British? Let's have a look.
Deutschland, kurwa. Benzin to jest, kurwa, droga benzina.
Can't really tell.
No, you can't really see, can you? So if it is the case, I apologize, Germany. I'm sorry that we've got these nutcases who want to stop traffic just so they can pray.
Once again, religion is ruining the world somehow.
Yeah. Okay, so going to Britain now. We have an MP, a member of Parliament, named Mike Freer, who is the MP for Finchley and Golders Green Conservatives. That's in North London. Okay, and he has decided not to seek nomination as the Conservative Party candidate at the next general election, which is going to happen later on this year. And the reason is he's had several serious threats to his personal safety. Now, you need to know at this stage that he's gay, okay? So the threats that he's had have come from Muslims Against Crusades, somebody called Ali Harbi Ali, and it's included an arson attack either on his home or his office, I think on his office. And this is, in his words, it's weighed heavily on me and my husband, Angelo. It sounds as though he's got a same-sex marriage to possibly an Italian. So he goes on to say, these serious incidents are alongside many low-level incidents, and no MP can operate effectively without the support of their spouse and wider family, because these serious incidents place intolerable stress. And he goes on to say, It will be an enormous wrench to step down. It's been the privilege of my life to serve the wonderfully diverse and vibrant area that is Finchley and Golders Green. So the opinion of a former Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, is that he is a first-class politician and public servant, but he's been hounded out of office by Islamists. So, what do you think about that?
It makes me wonder. I know that Britain isn't the strongest country in regards to LGBT issues. Do you think that's because of the Muslim population, or is it unrelated?
No, I think you're right. I think that the what you might call the native population are very equable about different lifestyles and different sexualities. Because I don't want to imply that sexuality is just a lifestyle. It's
Yeah, sure.
it's a heredity, inherited condition. But certainly, the less tolerant members of our British society are those who have come from more fundamentally religious organizations overseas. These are people who have returned to the homeland from former colonies. Or not necessarily former colonies, but they've come
Well,
as.
I'm sorry, John, but it sucks to be you.
Yes, we're too tolerant. We're too liberal. We've got to get
I
back.
don't want. I'm afraid of making an argument that sounds Islamophobic.
Mm.
But if you have your politicians feeling afraid of their identity or whatever, it becomes an issue, right?
Yeah. Mm. So we have several members of our parliament who are themselves Muslim and represent cities like we were talking about earlier, Bradford.
To be clear, at the surface, that isn't a problem.
No.
The problem is when they believe their religion should affect their decisions.
Yes, indeed. The problem is that in the Shia culture, they do not subscribe to the laws of nations. They subscribe to the Sharia law of Islam.
Yeah,
And
of course, but
I'm afraid that's unacceptable. You came here, you live here, you follow our laws.
There's my experience in general with a common religious person is they are a sort of cafeteria, especially in Christians, a cafeteria Christian. Like they say they are religious, but they don't actually know or care about the details about commandments and such. So my hope was that the more progressive Muslims, and therefore the majority of Muslims, will be like that.
Yes. Bring on the moderate Muslims. Or you see, the trouble with being moderate as a religion is you give credibility by your sheer number to the fundamentalists end. You're supporting them by saying, I'm happy to be in that club.
It gets complicated by I don't
Finally,
well when they do some illegal thing, they should be persecuted as such. That's the simple answer.
And the moderates should disown them. They should say, we don't like this any more than you do.
Yeah. If possible, yes.
Yeah. Finally, I've got some good news. Do you want some good news?
Finally, at last.
Pew Research. You may have heard of the USA research.
Yeah, it's a think tank, right? It's a think tank.
Yes, the think tank. Yes. They do polls of attitudes, and they did a deep dive into their religious landscape survey data.
Sure.
Which it happened back in July and August of last year, but they've only just published on January the 24th their analysis. Okay, and their analysis says 28% of US adults are religiously unaffiliated, describing themselves as atheists, agnostics, or nothing in particular. That's good news.
How much is the percentage?
28.
28. Still a bit low for my liking, but it's good if it's increasing.
It's gone up. This is the important thing. It was 16 only 10 years ago, so it's on the right trajectory. You know, the graph is going the right way.
My understanding is that when you have like a wealthy, relatively wealthy, or at least comfortable society, you might have religious parents, but then the children won't see a point or a purpose for the religion, and they slowly turn into this moderate religious person. Their children will turn into not caring about the religion at all.
Exactly. It's all going in the right direction.
So I want to add, I want to add a detail here, qualification.
Go ahead.
In our ideal world, we would be the quality of life would be ever increasing, right? So the religiousness would fall.
Yeah.
But at least in the United States, we have a problem with evangelicals trying to bring on the end of the world. So they make political decisions which hurt society. They are like a death cult in a sense. And this can bring the membership to their religion higher. And that's quite the problem. I think it should be tackled by investigations, but not sure what's the legal precedent to it.
Well, the only solution in my mind is education. We've got to teach people how to distinguish between nonsense claims and more factual information. Anyway, Diogo, thank you very much. You've been, for a panel of one, you've made some massive contributions.
The one-man panelist.
Yes. So say goodbye, and thank you to everybody who's watching us in the future. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Was the Pope appealing for peace, or was he praying for peace?
And the same applies to the carrying bread.
Yeah, that's a good question. So what do you have to say about that?